Good afternoon. Happy New Year. Bonne année. Madam DG, Monsieur DG, it's always great to be with my UN partners here, but of course to our FerMUN Secretary General, Adrienne. Really wonderful to be here. As Tatiana mentioned, this is kind of a highlight of the beginning of each year, and I've had such a great pleasure to join FerMUN on many occasions to kick off official engagements each year. So I'm absolutely delighted to be here, and in particular, as FerMUN celebrates 15 years, a 15th anniversary. As Tatiana mentioned, it's the 80th anniversary of the United Nations. It's the 160th of my organization, the International Telecommunications Union, ITU, UIT in French, not to be confused with ILO, OIT. So we're slightly older than the United Nations, but we're celebrating, of course, an important anniversary this year. I want to quickly recognize my friend and colleague, Florence. You've been such a leader and a champion in directing this program, and I thank you so much, Florence, for always including the ITU, and of course also to Philippe Launay for his leadership as well, and everyone that has made FerMUN such an important gathering to help form our leaders of tomorrow. When I think about 15 editions, it's almost a lifetime for so many of you in this room. If we think back to 2010, 30% of the world was connected to the internet. Less than 10% of the world had a smartphone. Instagram had just been created. Snapchat and TikTok didn't yet exist. And of course, there was no generative AI. Today, of course, it's a very, very different world. Each of you is a digital native, and the future of work that you will encounter is going to offer both technology challenges as well as technology opportunities. Hundreds of students have passed through FerMUN, coming from different backgrounds, from different countries, from different cultures, and what has always brought them together, what brings you together today, what unites you, are those enduring values of the United Nations: peace, equality, justice, sustainability, and cooperation. Jeremy was the first Secretary General and a Ferney local of FerMUN, and I think he said it very well when he encouraged his fellow delegates, in finding consensus, it's important to take a small step. Take a small step in consensus building, and that small step can have huge consequences. Today, and again, Tatiana, this goes back to your point, actually Jeremy has a big job as a technology development lead at a cutting-edge company that's working to build the first universal quantum computer. FerMUN participants go far. They've done great things in the world of work. They have tackled many of the challenges that you're going to be looking at today, some of those big pressing challenges that we face in this world. And many careers of past participants have actually involved technology in some form. They have tested their ideas right here for the first time here at FerMUN. And I think this is where policy innovation actually takes shape, and where tomorrow's leaders find ways to ensure that technology is a tool for positive change. My organization, the ITU, has believed in that FerMUN vision from the start. We are the UN Agency for Digital Technologies, and we try to prioritize youth gatherings. We prioritize coming to FerMUN, And when we first engaged, and I think this was your first FerMUN conference, you tackled things like cyber threats, which of course is a big challenge today. You tackled things like the internet and human rights. You tackled things like the rise of artificial intelligence, topics that have only grown in relevance and urgency over time. And we've been so privileged to be able to support those efforts and host a number of FerMUN events, some that have addressed things like the SDGs, other tech for development. And actually, the last time we hosted a FerMUN, little did we know, 2 months later, a global pandemic would hit us. And it would actually change everything. Change the things we were talking about at the FerMUN conference. Change the way that we learn, the way that we teach, the way that we engage, the way that we work, the conditions that we work in, how we work. It changed everything. I think your generation has never known a world without digital. You've grown up in a decade that has seen the population using the internet nearly double. You have seen social media influence explode, and you have seen artificial intelligence go mainstream. You are the most connected generation of all, and you need to find ways to leverage that connectivity for opportunities and tackle the challenges that come with it. As the UNOG DG, Tatiana, has mentioned, we are living in a difficult world, a challenging world, a world that has lots of conflicts, global conflicts. We have a climate crisis. We have a crisis in multilateralism. We have growing concerns in security. We have growing misinformation and disinformation. We have tech misuse. We have growing inequalities, and the list goes on. But when I look around this room and I look at the young faces, the young men and the young women in this room, I would say that I am actually filled with hope. My hope is that each and every one of you will make a difference. And as Jeremy said, a small step can have huge consequences, huge positive consequences. As you get into the deliberations of your important committees, reflect on the kind of future you want to build and the actions that you will take to build it. In September, as we heard, world leaders gathered in New York for a summit of the futures, and they adopted important outcomes. We have a pact for the future, we have a global digital compact, and we have a declaration on future generations. Those important outcomes recognize young people. They recognize young people as agents of change, and that change starts now. That change starts with bringing you to the table. Not just to sit at the table, but to participate, to lead discussions, to help build consensus around key decisions that will shape our future. This has been one of my top priorities as Secretary General of the ITU, where I've created youth programs, youth initiatives, youth task force, a young professionals program, because I believe it's critical at a time when ITU turns 160 years old that we have young people leading. As we look to the future, let's also think about the advice of Jessian. Jessian was another former FerMUN Secretary General, and Jessian said at that gathering, the issues that we're facing can sometimes seem like a huge mountain, and maybe one where we can't really make it to the top or even see that far. But take one step, and the view will already be clearer. Jeremy, Jessian, and all FerMUN participants are showing us the way. So to the young people in this room, I say, be open to what inspires you. Be curious, explore, be fearless, and dare to dream big. And as our Secretary General, Adrienne, said, your strength is your imagination, so never give up. How many of you saw the movie Wicked over the holidays? Anybody? Raise your hand. Okay, well, I loved Wicked. It was a great movie. I can't wait till the next one. Wicked had some important messages, and I won't get into all of them, but I'm going to borrow 2 messages from Wicked. And I'm going to say, ladies and gentlemen, defy gravity. Defy gravity. and have the courage to stand for what you believe in, even if it may mean sometimes that you have to stand alone. Don't give up. Stand for what you believe in and defy gravity. And for those of us in the room that are less young, let's work to build a future with the audacity and the boldness of young people. A future that's filled with hope, that's filled with possibilities, and that's filled with ambition. Thank you very much.